Welcome to AERO 2230 ProPilot 1. I'm Professor Fowler. This is the first of 5 classes in the Professional Pilot concentration. This class provides you with the aeronautical knowledge that you'll need to be certified as a private pilot. Emphasis in this class is placed on basic knowledge in the areas of aerodynamics, aircraft performance, systems, aviation weather, Federal Aviation Regulations, and flight planning. When you complete this course, you'll be prepared to take the FAA Private Pilot Written Knowledge Test, and you should also be prepared for the oral exam given during the FAA Private Pilot Check Ride. Topics covered in this class include airplane systems, aerodynamics, flight environment, communications, flight information, aviation weather, aircraft performance, navigation, physiology, and weight and balance calculations. This presentation will include a review of the syllabus. I'll also introduce myself to you and give you a little bit of background on my experience in the aviation industry, and we'll talk about the class schedule. Here's my contact information. My office phone is 615-898-5734. My email is robert.fowler@mtsu.edu, and my office is on the 2nd floor of the Business and Aerospace building on the south side, room S222, which is directly across from the aerospace office. Just a little bit about my flying background. I have almost 7,000 hours of total flight time, and more than 6,000 hours of that was in dual instruction given. I've instructed in several different aircraft, including the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, the Diamond DA-20, the Piper PA-44 Seminole, which is a multi-engine trainer, the Piper Cherokee PA-28, Piper AERO PA-28R, which is a complex aircraft, and the Cirrus SR-20 and SR-22. I also have experience flying turboprop aircraft, specifically the King Air 90 and 200, in skydive operations as well as in charter operations. Before coming to MTSU, I was a flight training manager at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was also an adjunct professor. I have experience as an airport manager, an owner and operator of an FBO, which is a fixed base operator, and a Part 61 flight school owner. My flight school was a certified Cirrus training center, and I was certified as a Cirrus Standard Instructor Pilot, or a CSIP. This presentation will include a review of the syllabus. We'll go over the required text and materials, course requirements, grade determination, test makeup policy, and we'll have a discussion about academic integrity. Here are 3 examples of some materials that you'll need to successfully complete this course. Let's take a look at the syllabus before we move on. The syllabus includes the instructor's contact information as well as a brief description of the course, including objectives and topics covered. This is the first of 5 classes in the Professional Pilot concentration, and the class provides you with the aeronautical knowledge required to be certified as a private pilot. The emphasis is placed on basic knowledge in the areas of aerodynamics, performance, systems, weather, Federal Aviation Regulations, and flight planning. After completion of this course, you should be prepared to pass the FAA Private Pilot Written Knowledge Test, and you should also be prepared for the oral exam portion of the FAA Private Pilot Check Ride. The topics covered in this class include airplane systems, aerodynamics, the flight environment, communications, flight information, aviation weather, aircraft performance, navigation, physiology, and weight and balance calculations. There are no prerequisites for this course, and the required textbook is the Private Pilot Guided Flight Discovery by Jeppesen Sanderson, 2015 or later.
and you can obtain the textbook from the Phillips bookstore in person or online. The supplementary materials are aeronautical chart products that can be purchased at Sporty's Pilot Shop or sportys.com. You'll need a current Atlanta sectional chart, rotating plotter, and a manual E6b Flight Computer. The grade system is based on points. There are 8 quizzes, 3 tests, a final exam. The quizzes count for 40 points, the tests count for 30 points, the final exam counts for 30 points for a total of 100 points.
Here are the grade ranges at the top of this slide. Makeup tests will not be given, but if you know in advance that you will be absent for a test scheduled on a given day, you can contact the instructor in advance to make alternate arrangements. If there's an emergency or an illness, you should contact the instructor prior to the beginning of the scheduled test. Incomplete grades are rarely given and only in extenuating circumstances, such as illness or an uncontrollable circumstance. Failure to make up work or turn in required work does not provide a basis for an incomplete grade, unless there are extenuating circumstances. Grades and feedback for assignments will be provided within 1 week of the assignment submission date. Email responses will be provided within 28 to 48 hours after the date and time of the email, or on the next school day if received on Friday after 5 p.m. All assignments must be submitted to the Dropbox. Assignments cannot be accepted via email, and all assignment deadlines will be listed in the Dropbox or on the calendar in D2L. Students are expected to learn how to navigate the Learning Management System, otherwise known as D2L. If you have technical problems, please address them immediately. You can contact the help desk at help@mtsu.edu. Please be respectful to your instructor and your peers, and refrain from derogatory statements. Class participation is required in this course. You're expected to log into the course on D2L a minimum of 3 times per week and adhere to all due dates and deadlines. Due dates and deadlines will be listed on the course calendar in D2L. Use the Ask the Class discussion board when you have a question and communicate with the instructor via email. And don't forget to frequently check the course homepage for important announcements. Academic integrity and misconduct is something that Middle Tennessee State University takes very seriously. Please review the information on academic integrity and misconduct on the MTSU webpage. Plagiarism and cheating and other forms of academic dishonesty are prohibited at MTSU. Plagiarism and cheating include submitting one's work, themes, reports, drawings, laboratory notes, computer programs, or other projects that were prepared by another person. It also includes knowingly assisting another student in obtaining or using unauthorized materials and submitting assignments that were previously used in other courses where you receive credit for the work. Finally, improperly crediting or lack of crediting an original author's work is considered plagiarism. Students who are found guilty of plagiarism or cheating are subject to possible disciplinary actions. Those actions may include 0 or an F on the activity or assignment, an F in the course, or expulsion from the university. Students who are found guilty of plagiarism or cheating will be reported to the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. The rest of the syllabus includes the I Am True Blue Pledge, as well as information about student resources. Please review the syllabus, and if you have any questions, post them on the Ask the Class discussion board, or contact your instructor by email. Here are some examples of the materials you'll need to successfully complete this course. On the left is an Atlanta sectional chart. You'll need a sectional chart in order to do cross-country planning. The center is a manual E6b Flight Computer, and on the right is a fixed plotter. I recommend that you get a rotating plotter. It's a lot easier to use. Here are some examples of a sectional chart. On the left, you see the Nashville International Airport. That's actually included in the Atlanta sectional chart. On the right is a cutout from the New York sectional chart. Here's a close-up of the E6b Flight Computer. Some of you who have already completed the private pilot's license, or perhaps you've completed a significant amount of ground training, may already have a electronic flight computer. We use the manual E6b Flight Computer to teach this course for several reasons. But one is that you actually learn a lot about the calculations when you use the manual computer. If you're using an electronic E6b, all you're doing is punching in numbers, and you really don't learn anything about how the calculations are done. If you plan on starting a flight lab this semester, you'll need a couple of things before you can get started. The first thing is pictured on the left. It's a student pilot certificate, or a student pilot license. You'll apply for the student pilot certificate with your flight instructor on a website called AERO. That's the FAA website where you will be applying for all of your certificates. You'll complete the information, answer some questions, and the FAA will send you a plastic card just like the one pictured on the left-hand side of the slide. The second thing you'll need is a medical certificate. There are 3 classes: first class, second class, and third class medical certificate. MTSU requires you to have a second class to qualify for a flight lab. But if you plan on becoming an airline transport pilot, I would recommend getting a first class medical certificate in the beginning to make sure that you will qualify, because you will not qualify for airline transport pilot privileges unless you have a first class medical certificate. After you pass your exam, the medical examiner will complete the information, sign the certificate, and then you will sign at the bottom. Remember that the medical certificate is not valid unless you've signed at the bottom of the certificate. We'll also learn about aviation weather in this course, and also aviation weather reports. The weather report you see at the bottom of this slide is a TAF, or a Terminal Aerodrome Forecast. It's a forecast of weather, and you'll learn how to decipher or translate these reports. We'll also learn about aircraft systems, including engines, aircraft instruments, electrical systems, fuel systems, everything that you'll need to know to be a competent pilot. And we'll also learn about airports, airport operations, airport markings, and airport signs. Before class, I asked you to think about or write down some items that might be important for you to think about when you're preparing for a flight. We should all do a pre-flight inspection of the airplane, but a lot of pilots also do what's called a personal pre-flight. The I'm Safe checklist is one way that can help you to perform this personal pre-flight inspection. I'm Safe stands for illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and eating. For example, one thing that you should ask yourself before you go out on a flight is whether or not you're ill. If you're dealing with a head cold, you need to ask yourself, am I going to be able to effectively fly this airplane? Am I going to be able to make decisions? Medications, there are certain medications that are prohibited by the FAA. And if you're taking those medications, they could impede your decision-making ability and your ability to fly the aircraft. Stress can be a problem. If you're under stress, you may have a problem making decisions. Alcohol, of course, is prohibited. Fatigue has been a major issue in several high-profile airline accidents in the last 10 years, and you want to make sure that you're eating properly. So let's go flying. That's the end of the introduction to AERO 2230. The next presentation will be about private pilot basics.